broadcasting live to the world, the Kart Racing Network. DD2 Masters, here we go. And Rene Martinelli getting a very clear start, a very clear lead from pole position in front of Mike Jones. Paul Bonilla just moving over from the outside of the front row to slot into third place. And all 7 of the drivers safely through the opening 4 turns. Sweeping onto the infield complex here, turn 4, turn 5, before we go at the right-hander there, the 90-degree turn at turn 6. Sweeping down the link straight, further left through towards turn 9, before sweeping right-hand to turn 10, and then to this fast finish of the circuit, the very gentle turn 10, and turn 11 onto the home straightaway, down the grade for the first time of 20. And is this a change of lead? Yes, it is. Mike Jones takes the lead. Mike Jones takes the lead at the start of the second lap from Rene Martinelli. Paul Bonilla has also gone through, has he? Yes, he has. Alan Rudolph up from 5th to 4th. Ariel Castro running 5th. John Crow 6th. Lance Lehrman 7th. Conrad Park 8th. Jim Carey 9th. And we're looking at that again. And this is the moment that Mike Jones took the lead. Mike Jones took the lead in kart number 504, getting himself past Rene Martinelli. Alan Rudolph, starting 5th, was up to 4th, is now up to 3rd. But Mike Jones has that sweet feeling of coming over the start-finish line in the lead of a final. This is the start of lap 3. And Mike Jones from the Dallas Karting Center, our early race leader, disposing is a rather cruel word, shall we say deposing, which is what I think I wanted to say, Rene Martinelli from the lead in kart 500. Mike Jones, 42 years of age, driving a Sodi kart. He's from Dallas, Texas. The class sponsored, of course, by PSL Karting. 19th in the Rotax Worlds last year in Portugal. And the 2012 Pan Am Rotax champion he regards as the highlights of his career. Incidentally, that 19th in the Rotax Worlds included the DD2 Opens as well, so it was a good performance. Mike Jones, Paul Bonilla and Alan Rudolph, the 1, 2, 3, they're the ones we're staying with. Mike Jones easy to identify in that light-coloured race suit. Paul Bonilla in the red, or darker red, in second place, the lighter red, if you will, by Alan Rudolph, who does appear to have had the issues that prevented him from winning, or prevented him from having a fair shot of winning the pre-final, apparently solved. Mike Jones continues to lead. Paul Bonilla 2nd. Alan Rudolph 3rd. And Alan Rudolph, you sense, looking if there's a way past. If it didn't, and there goes a surprise move by Paul Bonilla, and it's worked. Oh, and Mike Jones fighting back very, very valiantly. And Paul Bonilla now back under attack from Alan Rudolph. Well, there's no question that Paul Bonilla took the lead off Mike Jones, but Mike Jones was having none of it, and in a very, very determined move, took back the lead. But Mike Jones knows that Paul Bonilla is behind him. And here's Alan Rudolph making a move, and Alan Rudolph goes into 2nd place. Alan Rudolph now running 2nd, and Paul Bonilla, who was 2nd for a long time, got himself to 1st, is now running 3rd. And not so far behind him is Ariel Castro in 4th place. You see him now. These top running 4 are Mike Jones, and here we see a replay of that move by Paul Bonilla going into the lead from Mike Jones. Mike Jones screwing the throttle wide, or putting his foot down hard. There didn't seem room to squeeze through there. Paul Bonilla had to move over, and Mike Jones said, that's what I wanted you to do. That enables me to go back into the lead, and that's where he is now, as you see. But he's under threat from Alan Rudolph. Mike Jones holding the advantage. But Alan Rudolph, incidentally, Paul Bonilla's fallen away dramatically quickly. He's now under pressure from fourth place driver Ariel Castro. And here's Alan Rudolph looking to make a move. Mike Jones is having none of it. Mike Jones leads. Alan Rudolph tries again or has another look, putting the pressure on Mike Jones. That was the point at which Paul Bonilla slid through. It was also the point a couple of turns after where Mike Jones got back in front. Mike Jones, who in the pre-final came home in third place. Alan Rudolph, who came home in fifth place, but they're 1 and 2 in the final. And this is lap 7. Mike Jones, the Dallas Karting Complex. Alan Rudolph, captain of Team USA in Portugal last year. And here's Rudolph making a move this time. Mike Jones looks over, there's nothing he can do about it. And Alan Rudolph slides through into the lead. Alan Rudolph, Kart 577, taking that CRG into the front at the expense of Mike Jones' Sodi Kart. So Alan Rudolph now on lap 8 takes the lead. First time he's been in the lead since that problem manifested itself at about, what, 1/3 race distance, 1/4 race distance in the pre-final. Alan Rudolph leads. There's the slow motion replay. You can see Mike Jones look over there. There's nothing he can do about it. He knows there's nothing he can do. There's no point in trying to chop across. I think Mike Jones was looking to say, can I safely defend second place? He could, and he did. This is the start of lap 9. Alan Rudolph leads. Mike Jones is second. Quite a little gap then to Ariel Castro third. Rene Martinelli running fourth. Paul Bonilla, who briefly led the race, drops to fifth. John Crow running sixth. Jim Carey seventh. Lance Lehrman eighth. And Conrad Park, a little bit off the pace, in ninth place. Well, heading round towards the half race distance, about 1.5 laps to go to the halfway point, and Alan Rudolph has put, what would you call that, 5 kart lengths, certainly 4, between himself and Mike Jones, dropping down the incline, climbing up out of the bottom of the basin, sweeping right into turn 1. Alan Rudolph leads from Mike Jones second, Ariel Castro third, Rene Martinelli fourth, Paul Bonilla 5th, John Crow 6th, Jim Carey 7, Lance Lehrman 8, and Conrad Park goes through in 9th place. Well, what do you do now if you're Mike Jones? Do you kick as hard to hang on to Alan Rudolph? Or do you feel you ought to conserve something? Might Alan Rudolph come back to him? Looked pretty ominous the way that Alan Rudolph moved up from 5th to 4th to 3rd. Little bit of a pause, then to second. Little bit of a pause and then into the lead. This is the half race distance. Halfway. Closer race now is between Rene Martinelli in 4th place. Started this race on pole position, and Ariel Castro. We're looking though at the battle for 5th with Paul Bonilla holding off the challenge of John Crow. Paul Bonilla, who I remind you briefly led this race. It was briefly, but he was in 2nd place a long time. Little bit of a surprise to drop down to 5th. There he is to the right of your screen. John Crow making a, well, polite enquiry. In fact, that might have been the guys in front, which was Rene Martinelli looking at Ariel Castro. It was. This is the battle that we're watching primarily. John Crow in 6th place, chasing down Paul Bonilla in 5th. This is lap 12 of the DD2 Masters final. And the close battle between 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th. Not really as close as it might have been. We hope to bring you some close racing in. There's some interesting racing without it being racing that suggests an immediate passing move. There you see Alan Rudolph, Mike Jones in 2nd place, Ariel Castro 3rd, Rene Martinelli 4th. They're the guys that we're looking at presently. Behind them you see the 5th and 6th karts, Paul Bonilla, who was being challenged hard by John Crow, but has rather seen off the challenge of John Crow. Jim Carey 7th, Lance Learman 8th, and Conrad Park 9th. We're on lap 13, and Alan Rudolph's lead at the front is 0.8 of a second. So that's not a race-winning lead, but oh boy, at the 3/5 race distance, it's a pretty handy lead to have. Alan Rudolph, you see, bottom of your screen. Mike Jones going through, and here's the move from 4th to 3rd. Rennie Martinelli going past Ariel Castro. Does he execute it to the full? Yes, he does. This on lap 13. In front of those two, it's still Alan Rudolph in the lead and Mike Jones in 2nd place. Coming down to start another lap. This is lap 15. Excuse me, this is lap... Yeah, there's a replay on lap 13. And the replay showing nicely how Rennie Martinelli went past Ariel Castro to relieve Ariel Castro of the burden of running in 3rd place and relegates him to 4th. Paul Bonilla still 5th. We are on lap 14 now, lap 14. Well, there you see Rennie Martinelli started on pole position, fell right back to 4th. Paul Bonilla, who was down to 5th, is not able to extricate himself from that 5th place slot. Alan Rudolph, though, trying to show that the misfortune he told us about in the pre-final was exactly that. It wasn't made it up. With a clean shot, he was going to win. That was the message he was sending out. And now I have to say that Mike Jones, under some sort of threat from Rennie Martinelli to some degree. Ariel Castro not a million miles behind Rennie Martinelli. 2.5 seconds between Mike Jones 2nd and Rennie Martinelli 3rd. Good driving, good racing, but it does look as if Ariel Castro in Kart 579 is not able to reel himself back onto the tail of Rennie Martinelli in Kart 500. Rennie Martinelli in the much lighter race suit. There you see a nice shot. Alan Rudolph already through onto the start of lap 16. His lead, 1.37 seconds. Mike Jones 2nd. And then it's the biggest part of 2 seconds to Rennie Martinelli 3rd, Ariel Castro 4th, and then this good scrap still with Paul Bonilla 5th and John Crow 6th. There's still mileage in that one until we go a long, long way back to Jim Carey 7th, Lance Learman 8th, and Conrad Park 9th. So into the final quarter of the race. Has Alan Rudolph done enough? Is it just a case of driving home from here, or is a twist in the tail to come? Can Mike Jones find a 4th quarter comeback? Rennie Martinelli, is he going to be satisfied with 2nd? Could he get up into 3rd? What about Ariel Castro wanting to make the podium? He's a full 2nd now behind Rennie Martinelli. So any of the guys not in the front 3, it's going to be a challenge. It is a challenge to them to get onto the podium from here. The biggest challenge, though, can anybody deny Alan Rudolph the race win? Not suggesting anybody should. Alan Rudolph, the very deserving race leader, especially after the misfortunes of the pre-final. I guess he would be really pleased that the misfortunes of the pre-final were when it was this class alone that was out there, so he was never likely to fall back out of the top 10 because there weren't 10 drivers starting. Don't know how he held onto the wheel. This is the start of lap 18. 3 laps to go, including the one that they're on, and Alan Rudolph's lead is 1.6 seconds. You don't see him on screen because he's not racing anybody. He's just leading by the proverbial mile. And here is and a very, very good move there from... oh, hang on, that may have been a back marker. Yes, it was. It was the back marker moving through. Wasn't a move, it was a move off the race line, and congratulations there to the guys who eased out of the way on that one. It was in fact Ariel Castro who we saw moving off, and he's clearly got a problem, and Ariel Castro, whose challenge in 4th place had evaporated, is dropping like a stone. The driver we identified as the one who we thought was a back marker was actually Ariel Castro in Kart 579, and clearly with a problem. But on a more positive note, Alan Rudolph, who's in shot currently, has a lead of 1.89 seconds. You would doubt that he would throw it away from here. However, a misfortune befell him in the pre-final. We certainly don't wish that on him in this remaining 0.7 of a mile circuit of the GoPro Motorplex. Alan Rudolph on his way round to what we anticipate to be a fairly bloodless and painless victory. He's pursued by Mike Jones, but Mike is 2.2 seconds away. Rene Martinelli is 2.1 seconds away in third place from Mike Jones. We stay with the champion-elect, sweeping round onto the short link straight, round the right-hander, sweeping now from turn 9 onto turn 10. One more turn to go, onto the home straightaway, and your champion in DD2 Masters is Alan Rudolph. Alan Rudolph wins it. Mike Jones comes home in second place. Rene Martinelli is third. Paul Bonilla fourth. John Crow fifth. We wait for Jim Carey to come round. Jim Carey will come round to take sixth place. But a recap on the top five. Alan Rudolph, in shot on your screen, wins it. Mike Jones second. Rene Martinelli starting on pole position, making the podium. Fourth, Paul Bonilla. Fifth, John Crow. Sixth, Jim Carey. Seventh, Lance Lehrman. Eighth is Conrad Park, and Ariel Castro went out at three-quarter race distance and did not complete the race. But Alan Rudolph, your champion, the fourth champion of the afternoon, this time in DD2 Masters.